Okay, in continuation of the chapter on yellow wallpaper. Yellow wallpaper is about mental illness. Okay, it is a semi-autobiographical short story. Here the protagonist, after she delivers her daughter, she succumbs to the doctor. Okay, both of them prescribe or suggest her to isolate herself and take rest. It is called as rescue treatment. Okay, when she was made to isolate in a isolated mansion, in one of the rooms of the isolated mansion, she feels extremely bored, and her only attraction or the only point that she is going to consider is the yellow wallpaper that is stuck on the walls of the room. Okay, I'm discussing from page number 68 onwards. All of you follow that. There is one end of the room where it is almost intact, and there when the cross lights fade and the low sun shines directly upon it, it can almost fancy radiation after all. Silence. The interminable grotesques seem to form around a common center and rush off in headlong plunges of equal distraction. Okay, so she's talking about the ambience there. Okay, how light is very much evident. It makes me try to follow it. I will take a nap, I guess. I don't know why I should write this. I don't want to. I don't feel able. And I know John would think it absurd. But I must say what I feel and think in some way, it's such a relief. Yes, stand up all the two. Stand up all the two. Let's sit down. Sit properly. Look, follow the text. Page number 68. Okay, so she feels that the light is very disturbing, and she also mentions that she does not want to write about it because she does not know how John will, her husband will, think about it. But the effort is getting to be greater than relief. Half the time now I am awfully lazy and lie down ever so much. John says I mustn't lose my strength and has me take cod liver oil and lots of tonics and things, to say nothing of ale and wine and rare meat. Shh. So since she is under medication, her husband, who is also a doctor, has prescribed her what to eat and what not to eat. So throughout the day she is under medicine, and she is prescribed not to eat certain items. What are those? Nothing of ale and wine and rare meat. So she should not consume all those. Dear John, he loves me very dearly and hates to have me sick. I tried to have a real, honest, reasonable talk with him the other day and tell him how I wish he would let me go and make a visit to cousin Henry and Julia. The overprotectiveness of John. Yes, all the three stand up here. First row, stand up all the three. I'll mark you absent if you don't stand. Stand up. If I see anybody talking, I'll mark you absent. You'll get to know when I take your attendance. Okay, so John is overprotective towards his wife. John is overprotected to his wife, but she feels very uncomfortable in that overprotectiveness. Okay, therefore, she wanted to talk to John clearly, saying that if she is let free, she will recover better. And she expresses her intention to meet her cousins, Henry and Julia. But he said, I was not able to go, nor able to stand it after I got there. And I did not make out a very good case for myself, for I was crying before I had finished. Whoever is talking will mark you people absent. Okay? Is there first row? All the three stand up. All the three stand up. Second row, stand up. Okay? So, she meets her husband and tells that she intends to visit her cousins. But she is under so much of nervous pressure that she is not even able to speak in front of him properly. By the time she ends her speech, she starts crying. Okay, she finds it very difficult to even stand. Such was a psychological or mental disorder. It is getting to be a great effort for me to think straight, just like nervous weakness, I suppose. And dear John gathered me up in his arms and just carried me upstairs and laid me on the bed and sat by me and read to me till it tired my head. So by the time she wanted to complete the request of meeting her cousins, she collapsed. And her husband took her to the room upstairs and read out some literary piece until she slept. He said I was his darling and his comfort and all he had, and that I must take care of myself for his sake and keep well. This is how we try to console him, console her. So he said, take care of yourself so that he can take care of me. Page number 69. He says, no one but myself can help me out of it. He says, no one but myself can help me out of it, that I must use my will and self-control and not let any silly fancies run away with me. So what is doctor and her husband's suggestion? That she herself should take care of herself. Okay? Stop thinking about unnecessary things. Only then she will be able to recover better. There's one comfort, the baby is well and happy and does not have to occupy this nursery with this horrid wallpaper. So another problem that she's facing is the baby. She has to feed the baby, take care of the baby. So therefore she says that's one's comfort, the baby is well and happy and does not have to occupy this nursery with a horrid wallpaper. Dance after I mark you absent. Okay? So she says the only happy feeling that she has is that the baby is comfortable. If he had not used it that the blessed child would have, what a fortunate escape. Why I wouldn't have a child of mine, an impressionable little thing, live in such a room of words. So she is kept in isolation in one particular room in a colonial mansion. She does not want to stay in that room. One consolation that she has is that baby is not in this room because she feels if the baby had been in this room, even the baby would have experienced this trauma. So her comfort is that at least the baby is in some other room and it is happy. There are things in that paper that nobody knows but me or ever will. Are you able to visualize a person suffering from mental illness is isolated in a room and in that room there is a yellow wallpaper and that is disturbing her a lot. Behind that outside pattern, the dim shapes get clearer every day. It is always the same shape, only very numerous. And it is like a woman stooping down and creeping about behind that pattern. I don't like it a bit. I wonder, I begin to think, I wish John would take me away from here. So the drawings of the picture in that yellow wallpaper, she is very much disturbed. Okay, she wants to go away from this room mainly because of that yellow wallpaper. It is so hard to talk with John about my case because he's so wise and because he loves me so. But I tried it last night. It was moonlight. The moon shines in all around just as the sun does. I hate to see it sometimes. It creeps so slowly and always comes in by one window or another. John was asleep and I hated to waken him. So I kept still and watched the moonlight on that undulating wallpaper till I felt creepy. Okay? So usually they say, especially during full moon day, okay, people who are suffering from mental illness, their mental illness will increase. And that's why people are advised not to go near water bodies, natural water bodies during full moon day because the gravitation pull of the moon is more. Okay, there will be plenty of waves, you may get drowned. So since she's suffering from mental illness, she's talking about the moonlight that is falling on the yellow wallpaper. The faint figure behind seemed to shake the pattern just as if she wanted to get out. Page 70. I got up softly and went to feel and see if the paper did move. And when I came back, John was awake. What is it, little girl? He said. Don't go walking about like that. You will get cold. So while she was walking along in the room, so her husband wakes up and suggests her not to strain herself. I thought it was a good time to talk, so I told him that I really was not gaining here and that I wished he would take me away. So she wanted to talk, have a close conversation with her wife, with her husband. So she wanted to convey that I am not at all feeling comfortable in this isolated room. Refer your textbook now. I am not at all feeling comfortable in this isolated room. Take me to some other place. Why, darling, said he, our lease will be up in weeks and I can't see how you lived before. The repairs are not done at home and I cannot possibly leave town just now. Of course, if you were in any danger, I could and would. But you really are better, dear. Whether you can see it or not, I am a doctor, dear, and I know. You are gaining flesh and color. Your appetite is better. I feel really much easier about you. Once if I mark you absent, you will understand. I want you to sit. Hey, go stand there. It's okay, go stand there. Okay? So, in her intimate conversation with her husband, she says, I want to move away from this place. But her husband, who is also a doctor, says, the rent will end in another 3 weeks. And the alterations in our house is not completed. And here you are gaining your health. Your health is getting better. You have put on weight. You're becoming more fair. Okay, don't find any reason for us to relocate. I don't weigh a bit more, said I, nor as such. And my appetite may be better in the evening when you are here, but it is worse in the morning when you are away. Bless her little heart, said he with a big hug. She shall be as sick as she pleases. But now let's improve the shining hours by going to sleep and talk about it in the morning. So her husband tries to comfort her. Okay, let's not discuss too much now. Let's sleep and let's discuss tomorrow. And you won't go away, I asked gloomily. Why? How can I, dear? It is only 3 weeks more and then we will take a nice little trip of a few days while Jenny is getting the house ready. Really, dear, you are better. Better in body, perhaps, I began and stopped short, for she sat up straight and looked at me with such a stern, reproachful look that I could not say another word. So, her husband is not at all in a position to listen to her, to listen to her problems. So, he is always of the opinion that her health is getting better because of her increase in weight. Therefore, she responds, I am okay in terms of body, but what about the mind? I am undergoing this psychological trauma. My darling, said he, I beg of you for my sake and for our child's sake, as well as for your own, that you will never for one instant let that idea enter your mind. There is nothing so dangerous, so fascinating to a temperament like yours. It is a false and foolish fancy. Can you not trust me as a physician when I tell you so? Whenever, hey, Sigmund, all the three sit down. Follow the textbook, all the three sit down. So whenever her husband has last rows, identify the line that I'm discussing. All the 6 stand up. Okay, say whenever the wife is trying to convince him to take away from the husband, and also the doctor says, I am the doctor, I know your condition, but don't comfort her. So of course, I said no more on that score and we went to sleep before long. He thought I was asleep first, but I wasn't. I lay there for hours trying to decide whether the front pattern and the back pattern really did not move together or separate. Whether she is awake or asleep, the patterns or the designs on that wallpaper used to haunt her. On a pattern like this, by daylight there is lack of sequence, a defense of law that is a constant irritant to a normal mind. So what is she observing on that yellow wallpaper is, during daytime there is no consistency on the yellow wallpaper. Okay, that is troubling her mind a lot. The color is hideous enough and unreliable enough and infuriating enough, but the pattern is torturing. So she is very much disturbed about the yellow color and also the pattern on that yellow wallpaper. You think you have mastered it, but just as you get well underway in following, it turns a back somersault and there you are. The outside pattern is a florid arabesque, reminding one of fungus. If you can imagine a toadstool in joints, an interminable string of toadstools budding and sprouting in endless convolutions. Why? This is something like that. So she's talking about how one feels when they are not able to pass their motion. Stools. Okay? The outside pattern is creating so much of trouble for her in the mind. She's trying to explain a problem. Psychological problem. Florida arbors reminding one of fungus, a fungus kind of appearance. Yes, that is sometimes. There is one marked peculiarity about this paper, a thing nobody seems to notice but myself, and that is that it changes as the light changes. So this is the peculiarity of the yellow wallpaper. You may get a descriptive question for 12 marks related to yellow wallpaper. Since it's a lengthy chapter, you should know all this. Based on the light, dimness, brightness, the yellow wallpaper or the patterns keep changing. When the sun shoots in through the east window, it always watch for the first long straight ray. It changes so quickly that I never can quite believe it. That is why I watch it always. By moonlight, the moon shines in all night. When there is a moon, I wouldn't know it was the same paper. So there are changes in the yellow wallpaper between daylight and moonlight. At night, in any kind of light, in twilight, candlelight, lamplight, and worst of all by moonlight, it becomes bars. During moonlight, the yellow wallpaper, the pattern becomes bars. The outside pattern, and the woman behind it is as plain as I can be. I did not realize for a long time what the thing was that showed behind the dim sub pattern, but now I am quite sure it is a woman. So after gazing this yellow wallpaper for long, now she realizes it is a woman. It is a drawing of a woman. Yellow on the yellow wallpaper. By daylight, she is subdued quite. I fancy it is the pattern that keeps us so still. It is so puzzling, it keeps me quite by the hour. Okay, actually, she may be seeing her own reflection, her own psychological problems in that yellow wallpaper. I lie down ever so much now. John says it is good for me and to sleep all I can. Indeed, she started the habit by making me lie down for an hour after each meal. So how frequently she used to sleep? For an hour after each meal. Breakfast, lunch and dinner. It is a very bad habit. I am convinced. For you see, I am awake. Oh no. So how long can you continue to sleep? So she says, I'm deceiving him. I'm pretending to sleep. She is not sleeping. The fact is, I'm getting a little afraid of John. He seems very queer sometimes, and even Jenny has an inexplicable look. It strikes me occasionally just as scientific hypothesis that perhaps it is the paper. I watched John when he did not know I was looking and come into the room suddenly on the most innocent excuses. And I've caught him several times looking at the paper, and Jenny too. I caught Jenny with her hand on it once. So it is not only this lady who is isolated in this room having problems with the yellow wallpaper. She has seen John and even Jenny observing the wallpaper. Even they have seen some movements according to her. So did not know I was in the room, and when I asked her in a very quiet voice, with the most restrained manner possible, what she was doing with the paper, she turned around as if she had been caught stealing and looked quite angry, asked me why I shouldn't frighten her so. Then she said that the paper stained everything it touched, stained everything it touched. Means if you touch the paper with your finger will get stained. That she had found yellow smooches on all my clothes and John's, and she wished we would be more careful. Okay, the yellow wallpaper is emitting that color. That is what Jenny tells. Did not that sound innocent? But I know she was studying that pattern. And I am determined that nobody shall find it out by myself. I'll mark the maps. Life is very much more exciting now that it is used to be. You see, as something more to expect, to look forward to watch. I really do eat better, and I am more quiet than I was. John is so pleased to see me improve. He laughed a little the other day and said, I seem to be flourishing in spite of the wallpaper. Silence. So now she is getting better in terms of her health. Okay, even John is happy. Yes. I turned it off with a laugh. I had no intention of telling him it was because of the wallpaper. He would make fun of me. He might even want to take me away. So because of that, now all these days, she had problems with the wallpaper. Now because of the wallpaper, our health is getting better. I don't want to leave now until I found it out. There is a week more, and I think that will be enough. So all these days she was trying to find out what these patterns were. At the end, almost at the end of her stay, she identified that it is a pattern of a woman. Now she wants to identify the exact thing. I'm feeling even so much better. I don't sleep much at night, for it is so interesting to watch developments, but I sleep a good deal in the daytime. In the daytime, it is tiresome and perplexing. There are always new shoots on the fungus and new shades of yellow all over it. I cannot keep count of them, though I have tried consciously. So during daytime, she feels that there is some growth in the yellow wallpaper. And that very appearance creates a lot of problems to her. Therefore, she intends to sleep during daytime and be awake at night. It is the strangest yellow, that wallpaper. It makes me think of all yellow things I ever saw. Not beautiful ones like buttercups, but old, foul, bad yellow things. But there is something else about the paper, the smell. Look at this. All these times she was talking about the pattern, then the color. Okay. Now she tells she can even smell it. I noticed it the moment we came into the room, but with so much air and sun, it was not bad. Now we have had a week of fog and rain. And whether the windows are open or not, the smell is here. It creeps all over the house. I find it overing the dining room, skulking in the parlor, hiding in the hall, lying in wait for me on the stairs. It gets into my air. Yes, it could be an experience also. Silence. Even when I go to write, if I turn my head suddenly and surprise it, there is that smell. She feels that yellow wallpaper, it's not only following her in the room, it is following her outside. It could be the pattern, it could be the color, now the smell. Such a peculiar odor too. I spent hours in trying to analyze it to find out what it smelled like. It is not bad at first and very gentle, but quite the subtlest, most enduring odor I ever met. In this damp weather, it is awful. I wake up in the night and find it hanging over me. Okay? She feels that yellow wallpaper, that yellow color is following her throughout. I'm making note of your faces and mark you people absent if you continue to talk. Okay. It used to disturb me at first. I thought seriously of burning the house to reach the smell. Okay. But now I'm used to it. The only thing I can think of that is the color of the paper, yellow smell. So she was very much frustrated about the yellow odor that she even thought of burning the house to overcome that. There is very funny mark on that wall, low down near the mopboard. A streak that runs round the room. It goes behind every piece of furniture except the bed. A long straight, even smooch, as if it had been rubbed over and over. I wonder how it was done and who did it and what did they did it for. Round and round and round, round and round and round. It makes me dizzy. So the smell, the color is everything. Is making her too faint. I really have discovered something at last. Through watching so much at night, when it changes so, I finally found it. Silence! Hey, enter first row, go out of the class. Anyone will mark you absent. Better leave the class. Anyone mark you absent? No, sorry. Sometimes I think there are great many women behind. So what is it she has found out? The front pattern does more, no wonder the woman behind shakes it. Sometimes I think there are great many women behind and sometimes only one. And she crawls around fast and the crawling shakes it all over. Then in the very bright spot, she keeps still. And in the very shady spot, she just takes hold of the bars and shakes them hard. And she's all the time trying to climb through. But nobody could climb through that pattern. It strangles so. I think this is why it has so many heads. So finally, she finds out there are many women in those patterns. It is the woman who is actually moving those patterns. They get through and then the pattern strangles them off and turns them upside down and makes their eyes wide. If those heads were covered or taken off, it would not be half so bad. I think the woman gets out in the daytime, and I will tell you why privately I've seen her. I can see her out of every one of my windows. It is the same woman I know, for she is always creeping, and most women do not creep by daylight. So she says the patterns, the changes in the patterns is because a woman is involved there who is making these patterns. I see her on that long shaded lane creeping up and down. I see her in those dark grape arbors creeping all around the garden. I see her on that long road under the trees creeping along. And when a carriage comes, she hides under the blackberry vines. I don't blame her a bit. It must be very humiliating to be caught creeping by daylight. So why these changes? Why there are sufficient changes in the pattern? Because she finds a woman is involved in that. That's our imagination. Imagination. I always lock the door when I creep by daylight. I cannot do it at night, for I know John would suspect something at once. And John is so queer now that I don't want to irritate him. I wish he would take another room. Besides, I don't want anybody to get that woman out at night but myself. I often wonder if I could see her out of all the windows at once. But turn as fast as I can only see out of one at a time. And though I always see her, she may be able to creep faster than I can turn. I watched her sometimes away off in the open country, creeping as fast as I could, as a cloud shadow in high wind. She says, during daytime, this woman that she is making changes in the shades, okay, she is creeping out, okay, and she feels that she wants to see that woman who is creeping out of the window. I found out another funny thing, but shall not tell it this time. It does not do to trust people too much. There are only 2 more days to get this paper off, and I believe John is beginning to notice, and I don't like the hook in his eyes. And I heard him ask Jenny a lot of professional questions about me. She had a very good report to give. She said, I slept a good deal in the daytime. John knows I don't sleep very well at night, for I am so quiet. Okay, I'll stop at this. Page number 75. Okay, till here.